And now, work on a new super sewer. It's beneath the River Thames. It's going to support London's sewage network, and the work is getting a step closer to finishing.
What does it look like? Well, we can find out right now because Ben is inside the tunnel.
Wow.
What an extraordinary image that is, Ben. Show us around.
It is pretty extraordinary. You send Matt to an allotment, you send me to a sewer. I'm not sure quite what to make of that, but welcome to the Thames Tideway Tunnel. This is an impressive place. This is one of the biggest underground tunnels anywhere in the world, and it's part of the largest overhaul of London's sewer system since Victorian times. And it's designed to solve one very simple problem, and that is too much sewage going into the River Thames. Work started on this project, construction work began 7 years ago, and today's a rather big day because the tunnelling bit of that work has just been completed. The team have come a long way, and so have we. Let me just talk you through some of the mind-boggling numbers. We are 60 metres beneath the River Thames. At its deepest point, the tunnel is 65 metres beneath ground. That is about 15 double-decker buses stacked one on top of the other. At its widest points, from end to end, edge to edge, it's more than 7 metres wide. That's 3 double-decker buses side by side. And the whole tunnel itself runs for 15 miles west to east, roughly following the route of the River Thames. The big question is why it's all needed. I've been taking a look, and I should say, if you're of a queasy disposition, the warning, it may put you off your breakfast.
London sewers are a Victorian marvel, built over 150 years ago by the engineer Joseph Bazalgette, when just 2 million people called the city home. Now it's coping with a population of around 9 million, and more people means more waste. Every time you flush and wash in London, the water enters a series of pipes more than 1,000 miles long. The real problem comes when it rains. The drains flood and raw sewage spills directly into the River Thames. It means 39 million tonnes of raw sewage flow into the river every year. The super sewer will divert as much as 95% overspill directly to a treatment plant, helping to keep the river clean. And after today, London's super sewer will be one step closer to completion. Under construction since 2016, the Thames Tideway will ease the pressure on the capital's ageing sewer network. The tunnel will be operational in 2025, delayed a year by COVID lockdowns and social distancing. And with a nearly £5 billion price tag, it doesn't come cheap. Londoners will face higher bills to meet the cost, but should gain clearer pipes and a cleaner river.
Can we frame up? Can we frame up? Well, there you have it. That's the reason behind it. Of course, it takes a huge team to make this construction project work. I'm delighted to say one of the team who've been working on it is with me, Sharon Vitalis, who joined as an apprentice, now a fully qualified locomotive operator. People will be surprised that there's a whole train network under here.
Yes, there is.
And how did you get involved becoming an apprentice, learning how to drive these trains?
I started off, Tideway was promoting the project, and I got really interested in the reason behind it. And I decided to apply for the apprenticeship, and I got chosen.
And what's it like? I mean, this is a predominantly male working environment. What is it like being one of the few women involved?
It doesn't really faze me. I mean, it's very accommodating for females, I think. And I think more females should be in the industry because there's not much to deter you from it. So it's quite accommodating. It's hard work, but it is fulfilling.
What's the best thing about working on this project?
Best thing is knowing what the end result is. I mean, working it from the beginning of a project to see the end result and knowing what's the reason behind the project. That's very.
And when you come to work in a workplace, this is not your typical office. This is not your typical day job, is it? What do people make of it when you explain to them what you do?
They're quite amazed at what's going on the ground, and I do try to promote it, and the reasons behind it, why the river needs cleaning up, and people are quite interested in what goes on, really.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see what goes on under here. So
Okay, Sharon, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning, and I suppose congratulations on reaching the end of the tunnelling phase of the project.
Very much.
Sharon Vitalis, thank you very much indeed. And I should say that the whole project is designed to last long into the future. It's designed to serve London's sewer system for the next 120 years. So that is an awful lot of flushing well into the future.
Ben, it's absolutely fascinating image. The perspective is a bit hard to understand here. Are you allowed to walk off into the distance, into the tunnel, so we can prove that it exists? Because it almost looks like it's not real.
Well, I tell you what, I'll start walking and I'll keep going until they stop me. So, OK, that'll give you an idea of the perspective. I'm not being rude, Charlie. I wouldn't normally give you my back. Tell me when you've lost sight of me.
Oh, my goodness, it's massive.
I'm still walking.
Because that is, what, more than 7 metres wide, isn't it, in diameter? Can you imagine?
I hope you're talking about the tunnel,
that's...
not me, Naga.
Yeah, no, not you, Ben.
Yeah,
but
this...
all the stuff, so all the stuff would fill that tunnel coming through.
Plenty. Here we go.
Wowzers.
I'll stand by the light, you might be able to see me a bit better. There you go, that gives you an idea of the perspective.
It really does. It's like something from a science fiction movie, is it? Ben, thank you so much. Because we were all sitting there looking at it, we couldn't quite understand how it worked. So, this is fascinating right now.
Brilliant.
A super sewer beneath the River Thames, which will support London's sewage network. Bear with us, because it does look amazing.
Well, it does sound like you're talking stuff. But honestly, he's not this time. Here's Ben in a big, big tunnel. Ben, and it's all about the perspective, isn't it? Because it just looks like something from outer space or from, like, the movie Dune or something.
It does. It does look like a movie set, but this is a very real place. It's an extraordinary location to be speaking to you live from this morning. This is the Thames Tideway Tunnel. This is one of the biggest tunnels underground anywhere in the world, and it's part of the largest revamp of London's sewer system, well, since Victorian times, with one simple aim: to cut the amount of sewage that's going into the river. Today's a rather big day for the team because they finished the tunnelling stage of the work, so quite a big milestone for everyone involved. They've come a long way, and to be honest, so have we this morning. Let me talk you through some of the mind-boggling numbers. We are 60 metres beneath the River Thames. At its lowest point, the tunnel is 65 metres underground. That is about 15 double-decker buses stacked one on top of another. The width of the tunnel from one point to the other at its widest point is more than 7 metres. That's 3 double-decker buses side by side. And the whole tunnel itself runs for 15 miles beneath London from west to east, roughly following the route of the River Thames itself. The big question is why all of this is needed. I've been taking a look, and I should warn you, some of what you're about to see, well, it may put you off your breakfast.
London's sewers are a Victorian marvel, built over 150 years ago by the engineer Joseph Bazalgette, when just 2 million people called the city home. Now it's coping with a population of around 9 million, and more people means more waste. Every time you flush and wash in London, the water enters a series of pipes more than 1,000 miles long. The real problem comes when it rains. The drains flood and raw sewage spills directly into the River Thames. It means 39 million tonnes of raw sewage flow into the river every year. The super sewer will divert as much as 95% overspill directly to a treatment plant, helping to keep the river clean. And after today, London's super sewer will be one step closer to completion. Under construction since 2016, the Thames Tideway will ease the pressure on the capital's ageing sewer network. The tunnel will be operational in 2025, delayed a year by COVID lockdowns and social distancing. And with a nearly £5 billion price tag, it doesn't come cheap. Londoners will face higher bills to meet the cost, but should gain clearer pipes and a cleaner river.
Well, with me is Sir Neville Sims, who is the chairman of Tideway, behind this whole project. Just explain why this is such a big day for everyone involved.
Well, it's a great day. We've finished the tunnelling, the main bore tunnelling. We started just 40 months ago in the west end of the project with TBM Millicent, and here we are this week at this end with TBM Selina finishing the drive.
And when will Londoners feel the benefit of all that we're showing them?
Well, it'll take a little while because we have still to finish off the tunnel. This is the tunnelling finish, not everything finished and complete on the job. We still have to connect ourselves to the existing sewer network, and we then have to make all the systems that bring the sewage down into here work. So it'll be a few years yet. But it won't be long once those connections are done.
Okay.
We will be seeing the fish coming back to the river and the river being much safer.
It's good news environmentally, good news for people who want to enjoy the river, maybe, I don't know, go stand up paddleboarding or something. I'm worried about falling in at the moment and the state of the water. But there'll be people watching this thinking, this is going to cost Londoners money. An extra £20 to £25 a year on the bill, on top of all the other cost of living pressures. What do you say to those who say we simply can't afford this extra?
Well, the truth of the matter is you can't afford in an environmental matter like this not to afford it. It's simply unsafe to have an unhealthy river running through the heart of our capital city. This project is not just for the sake of a vanity project, this is for Londoners. Londoners need this river. Now, £20 to £25 may sound a lot on a bill every year, but basically, bearing in mind the huge scale of this project, it is almost amazing that following particularly the pandemic, that we have managed to stay within those initial budget estimates. We've stayed inside them.
Okay, so Neville Sims, thank you very much for joining us down here where we are 60 metres. It's incredible, we're broadcasting, we're speaking 60 metres below the River Thames and people are watching us at home. So Neville, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Great
you.
day.
And we have to say that, you know, this is not a short-term project by any means. This is designed to last for the next 120 years. So that is, Charlie and Naga, a lot of flushing well into the future.
Ben, I have so many questions. My first question is, when the pipe is open, how high does the sewage fill the pipe? Like, how much is the pipe filled?
Well, in terms of a level, I think it depends on a lot of factors. There's how much rainwater there is, because that's a lot of the reason for why we get overspill into the River Thames. It will take about 95% of the overspill that currently goes into the Thames and take it straight to a treatment plant. So the level would vary, but this is designed to deal with most of what currently gets pumped into the river.
And Ben, the final question, can you walk into the distance for us? Because this worked well before and it gives us an idea of the scale of it. So if you can walk round the U-bend, as it were.
I will keep going until you can't hear me anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you need to play some plinky plonky music as I walk off into the distance, you know, like they do at the end of those soap operas when a character's leaving for the last time.
That's it, it's like
do
the
you
long
get a sense
goodbye.
of the scale of it? And the echo. Here we go. I mean, it is actually such an impressive, when you're in here, it's such an impressive scale and the way it all works. You know, they've even got a small railway down here as part of all the construction. It's like a small village down here, actually.
I think we'll just leave him to rabbit off to himself, shall we? Yeah, he's just off there talking down the tunnel. Keep going, Ben, enjoy it.
Yeah, don't tell him we're off air.
No, just tell him to keep going. Keep saying it in his ear. 3 minutes to go. It's great.
It is fascinating, isn't
Brilliant.
it? Absolutely
One of the highlights of the morning.